Good morning, friends. Welcome to today's Read Aloud. Today is Thursday, May 21st, and we have a new text to read today. All right, so before we get started, just like always, I'm going to show you where you can find the materials you will need for this lesson. I'm also going to post the links to the folders in the description underneath this video so you can find them there as well. So first we're going to go to the distance learning folder. Then we're going to first grade and then read aloud. And then this week, May 18th to May 22nd. And then Thursday, May 21st. Wow, these are all out of order, but you know how to read. So this says Thursday, May 21st. And what happened? What happened? There they are. Just had to refresh it. So there are your materials for today. All right, so let's get started. Today we have a new story with some characters that some of you may know. It's called Frog and Toad Climb a Mountain. Frog and Toad are two book characters who I think a lot of us know about, and even I read Frog and Toad books when I was in first grade. So they've been around a while. So let's get started with reading. I'm going to read the entire text first. And while I'm reading, I want you guys to think about what you think the genre is. Um, and then we'll go over it together. So I hope you get nice and comfy cozy in your seats and you're ready to listen to this read aloud. So, Frog and Toad Climb a Mountain. Frog and Toad were reading a book together. The people in this book are brave, said Toad. They fight dragons and giants and they are never afraid. I wonder if we are brave, said Frog. Frog and Toad looked into a mirror. We look brave, said Frog. Yes, but are we? Asked Toad. Frog and Toad went outside. We can try to climb this mountain, said Frog. That should tell us if we are brave. Frog went leaping over rocks, and Toad came puffing up behind him. They came to a dark cave. A big snake came out of the cave. Hello, Lunch, said the snake when he saw Frog and Toad. He opened his wide mouth. Frog and Toad jumped away. Toad was shaking. Ooh, there's that snake. I'd be shaking too if that snake were coming after me. I am not afraid, he cried. They climbed higher, and they heard a loud noise. Many large stones were rolling down the mountain. It's an avalanche, cried Toad. Frog and Toad jumped away. Frog was shaking. I am not afraid, he shouted. Oh, I'm in the way. Let's go up here. Just hide up here. All right. Never mind. We'll go down here. They came to the top of the mountain. The shadow of a hawk fell over them. Frog and Toad jumped under a rock. The hawk flew away. We are not afraid, screamed Frog and Toad at the same time. Then they ran down the mountain very fast. They ran past the place where they saw the avalanche. They ran past the place where they saw the snake. They ran all the way to Toad's house. Frog, I am glad to have a brave friend like you, said Toad. He jumped into the bed and pulled the covers over his head, still shaking. And I am happy to know a brave person like you, Toad, said Frog. He jumped into the closet and shut the door. Toad stayed in the bed, and Frog stayed in the closet. They stayed there for a long time, just feeling very brave together. All right, friends, that is the whole story. So, thinking about what we just read, try and figure out what's the genre of this story. Go ahead. All right, so when we're trying to figure out what the genre of the story is, we can look at a bunch of different things. We can look at if we see any text features that we know go with either nonfiction or fiction text. So I know that the Pictures in this story are not photographs, they're illustrations. So that's giving me a clue to what I think the genre of this book is. We also have to ask ourselves, is this text teaching us something or is it telling us a story? Um, and this text is definitely telling us a story, so we know that the genre has to be fiction because fiction texts tell us a story. So the genre is fiction. And there are illustrations. And there are talking frogs. I don't know any talking frogs, but if you guys do, please let me know because that is extremely fascinating to me. Um, and maybe we'll have to say whether it's a different answer, whether this is fiction or nonfiction. But right now, I know that I've never seen a talking frog before, so this is a fiction story. It's telling us a story. All right, now the next question is why did the snake say hello lunch when it came out of the cave and saw Frog and Toad? Ooh, so we're actually right on the right page. So down here, if this goes away, no, no. Um, at the bottom of this page right here, it says, "Hello, Lunch," said the snake when he saw Frog and Toad. He opened his wide mouth. Frog and Toad jumped away. Toad was shaking. And then that text goes with this picture right here. So why did the snake say, "Hello, Lunch," when he came out of his cave and saw Frog and Toad? See if you can use this illustration as well as the text on this page here. Nope. Yep, right here to see why the snake said, "Hello, lunch." Go ahead. All right, so in the text right here, we get some clues about why the snake says hello, lunch when the snake sees Frog and Toad. Um, so he says hello, lunch, and he opened his wide mouth. So he opens his mouth wide, like ah. Now, when you open your mouth wide, um, it probably means you're going to eat something. And I don't know if you guys know this, but snakes eat frogs and toads. And he's the snake right here is looking very hungry in this picture. He's got his tongue out. He might be licking his lips. He's probably hungry. So he says hello, lunch, because he wants to eat frog and toad. He opens his wide mouth. Ah. He wants to eat frog and toad. So why does the snake say hello, lunch? The snake says hello, lunch because he wants to eat frog and toad. Luckily, frog and toad get away. Because that would be a nasty ending to this story, wouldn't it? All right. We are going to go like this, and then we're going to go here. We have a multiple choice question here asking what is an avalanche? What is an avalanche? Well, first we have to find where it says avalanche. It is on this page right here. I'm going to underline it for you. Or actually, I'm going to put brackets around. So let's read the text on this page to see if we can figure out what the word avalanche means. "I'm not afraid," he cried. They climbed higher, and they heard a loud noise. Many large stones were rolling down the mountain. "It's an avalanche!" cried Toad. Frog and Toad jumped away. Frog was shaking. "I am not afraid," he shouted. All right, so we see here a bunch of big rocks going down the hill towards Frog and Toad. And then Toad says, "It's an avalanche." Now, let's look at our choices and see which one is the best answer, or if there are multiple answers. All right, what is an avalanche? Choice A, a hawk. Well, there's a hawk on this page, but We don't talk about the avalanche on this page. We talk about the avalanche on this page. Um, so we know that we can cross out hawk. Hawk is not one of the correct answers. All right. The next option is rocks falling down a hill. Well, I see rocks falling down a hill. Many large stones were rolling down the mountain, and stones are rocks, so that makes sense. Let's see if we can put it in the sentence and see if it makes sense. It's rocks rolling down a hill, cried Toad. Frog and Toad jumped away. Frog was shaking. Yeah, that definitely makes sense because it says up here there are many large stones. We see the picture of the stones and the rocks. That definitely is one of the answers. So we can circle the letter B. I gotta go over it a few times so you guys can see it. All right. Next option is a snake. Now, I don't see a snake on this page. There was a snake before, yes, on this page. But then they jumped away from the snake went away. Um, so I don't think that snake belongs there. Avalanche does not mean snake, and we know that rocks falling down the hill also do not mean the same thing as a snake. So we can cross that out as well. So the only correct answer is B, rocks falling down a hill. Sometimes an avalanche is also snow falling down a hill, but there's no snow in this story. So in this story, it means rocks falling down a hill. All right, our next question is putting events in the correct order. Let's do this. So first we're going to read through all of the events, then we need to find them in the story, and then we need to figure out what order these events come in, and we're going to write down order or the numbers on these lines. So the first one is Frog and Toad saw an avalanche. All right, well, we were just there. We were just on that page. So let's go back up. It's an avalanche. Here we go. Here's the first thing that we see. It's an avalanche, and we already marked it off. Perfect. Now, we're going to go over here. Frog and Toad escaped from a hawk. All right, so let's go back in the story. The hawk is here, and we're going to draw a bracket around this paragraph right here because this is where they escape from the hawk. All right, this is good. We're annotating. All right, Frog and Toad were reading a book. Well, we know that this whole thing started when they were reading a book. So let's look up here. Ah, yes, the very first sentence. Frog and Toad were reading a book together. Well, let's put a bracket around here. You can underline. I'm going to put a bracket because you will be able to see it easier on the screen. Frog and Toad were reading a book together. That is up here. And then the last one, what do we have? Frog hid in the closet and Toad hid under the covers. Well, we can look at the pictures and see that that happens on this last page. So let's see. Yes, Toad stayed in the bed and Frog stayed in the closet. Oof. They stayed there for a long time, just feeling very brave together. Sometimes when you're braid, my tongue is not working today. When you feel brave, sometimes it takes a lot out of you, and then you need to go rest afterwards or go hide in a closet or something. So we found each of the events in this list. So let's see. Oh my goodness. Let's see which one happens first. The first one is that they're reading a book together because that's happens on the very first page. So let's go down to the sentence that says Frog and Toad were reading a book together and put number 1 because that was the first event. Now let's see where the next event is. All right, so we got that one. Oh, the next one. It's the avalanche. So we know that the one about the avalanche needs to be number 2. Frog and Toad saw an avalanche. Saw an avalanche, yep. We put a 2 on that line. 2, because that is the second event that happens in this list. All right, let's see the next one. See the avalanche. Ah, yes, this one. They saw a hawk, or they escaped from a hawk. So let's go back to that list, find the sentence about a hawk. Frog and Toad escaped from a hawk. We know that that happened next, and that is number 3. There we go. And then that means that the last one is number 4, but let's double check to make sure that we didn't miss one. We've got the hawk, and then the next one, yes, Toad stayed in the bed and Frog stayed in the closet. We know that that happens last, so that is number 4. Zoop. So the correct order, or the correct numbers that you wrote on the lines are 2, 3, 1, and 4. 2, 3, 1, and 4. Now we know that's not how you count, but these events are not in the correct order, so we needed to put them in the correct order. It goes Frog and Toad were reading a book, then they saw an avalanche, then they escaped from a hawk, and then Frog hid in the closet and Toad hid under the covers. All right, nice job, friends. Now we can move on to our exit ticket. Our exit ticket today asks you to write a retell of Frog and Toad climb a mountain. Be sure to include all story elements, characters, setting, problem, solution, and lesson learned, and use details from the text to support your answer. Remember to use your own words in your retell. I've noticed that some friends are copying words from the book or direct sentences from the book. That's not what a retell is. That's just copying what the book says. A retell is when you tell the story in your own words. So you're going to write down your retell of Frog and Toad climb a mountain. Remember, in the beginning, you need your characters and your setting. In the middle, you need your problem. And then at the end, you get your solution and your lesson learned. Remember to include some key details as well. All right, my friends, nice work today. I look forward to reading your exit tickets, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, friends.